Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Crowded Booth. My name is Bryce Koon. Ralph Lurie and Will Mann is going to be joining us here in just a second. If you just got done watching that college football revamp dynasty game, let's give a round of applause for Will keeping his job for at least one more week. He's going to take on FCS Southeast next weekend, and we'll see kind of what happens there. Let's jump in. Week 6, we're going to be talking, previewing some of the top games, giving you our best bets as we get ready to rock and roll here on tonight's episode of the Crowded Booth.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The Crowded Booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with Bryce Koon.
Well, welcome in, everyone. Let's bring in Ralph and Will, and I'm going to put myself in the middle there, as always. Ralph and Will Maness alongside. My name is Bryce Koon. Thanks so much for tuning in on a fantastic Thursday night. A little bit different schedule this week due to some scheduling conflicts, but we're here live. We'll go back to our college football shows on Mondays and Wednesday nights next week, and can't wait to talk to you. I'm going to scoot myself over just a tad. Right there. I feel like it's a little more centered now. I appreciated that more. But hey, we're getting ready to rock and roll talking college football on a fantastic Thursday evening. If you're listening after the fact, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Ralph, Will, and I talked to them the week. We don't even know what Google Play is. I have no clue what that is. But people listen to it apparently somehow on that platform, wherever it might be. So,
thing.
It is what it is. But we're talking ball on a fantastic Thursday evening. Week 6 is a lot of fun games that we're going to kind of take a look at and preview tonight. And I think it's one of those things, guys, where, look, you're getting to the point of the season where rivalries start to return. Now, some of these are true rivalries. We're going to talk Texas, Oklahoma. Some of these are, games that have really been decided pretty close, Texas A&M, Alabama, over the past couple of years. And then a game that I think when you start to kind of look at the historical significance, Kentucky hasn't beaten Georgia a lot, but, man, they have definitely given them probably some of the toughest games they've had over there in the SEC East. That being said, let's rock and roll. We're going to go game number 1. Can the Aggies upset Alabama at home? Now, Will, you just got done saying before we hopped on the show, this might not be a true upset. This is a pick'em game. The line is kind of dwindled down to, I think, 1.5 points. Obviously, Texas A&M gets this game at home. What are some of the keys to the matchup that you're looking for, and overall your thoughts on this matchup, which I believe is the 3:30 kickoff Eastern Standard Time on CBS?
Yes, it is. So for me, the big matchup in this one is going to be Texas A&M's front 7 against Alabama's offensive line in the run game. That's the two strengths of both those sides of the balls for both of these teams. We know Milroe, he's a good runner, and he throws a good deep ball. The book's out on him. So Texas A&M is not going to be surprised by anything that Alabama does. We've seen that front 7 of Texas A&M do it to everybody they've played. They're fast, they're physical. It's going to be a really, really fun one to watch if you like seeing the big uglies go at it. And I think can kind of just do whatever they want to this year. They kind of seem like they can. They've got the weapons. They've got the quarterback. Max Johnson's come in. I've said it time and time again. I think he's better than Connor Wegman anyway. And they really haven't missed a beat going to Max Johnson. So, I really like Texas A&M in this game. I would like them if they were in Tuscaloosa, even though I know they haven't won there since Johnny Manziel was there. But they get it at home, so that's an even better advantage for them. I like Texas A&M kind of to roll a little bit in this game.
Yeah, it's one of those things, I think, when you kind of start to look at what this game means, what this game in the grand scheme of the SEC West, I mean, one team is really going to cement themselves as the kind of the go-to team.
With the way things have shook out, I'd see this as kind of the de facto SEC West championship game, even though it's only week 6 and there's a lot left to play. But with the way LSU, they've already lost twice. I know neither of these teams have a conference loss, but it's a big one. They play each other so early in the year. It could be decided this week.
Yeah, it could be decided this week. It'll be interesting to watch. You mentioned LSU in that sentence, and we're going to talk about them a little bit later. But the lack of a defense there for them, I think, is something where they'd have to go beat Alabama and probably A&M. Now they have to go to Tuscaloosa, and then they get A&M at home. But Ralph, when you look at this contest, Texas A&M over the past couple of seasons obviously upset Bama 2 years ago in College Station. We know the environment's going to be rocking. This is going to be the biggest game, home game at Kyle Field this season. I mean, regular season wise, it took a really, really good quarterback performance from Tyler Van Dyke to lose this game. I mean, to not be able to win this game for Texas A&M. Can Jalen Milroe do enough, or is A&M just too? I want to say this too. Also, A&M up front is really, really good. That might be the best front seven right now in the SEC.
Yeah, and so basically, I agree with Will though. I mean, honestly, Max Johnson looks great. If Alabama wants a chance in this game, though, they're going to make this run game work. I mean, between all your running backs with Jace McClendon and Roydell Williams and even Milroe at the backfield or at quarterback, you got to make some run game work because he's not going to beat you with his arm. Now, he has a great deep ball throw, but he cannot make those short throws, and he's going to get pass rushed a lot. They're going to be coming at him, and they're not a defense that gets ran on by quarterbacks very often. So you saw him last week play against Arkansas and KJ Jefferson. They held him back really well. So they're prepared for a running quarterback, and this is not a team that looks at running quarterbacks and isn't scared at all. They're gonna make an issue for Jalen Milroe back there. And so, if Alabama wants to even win this game, they gotta establish up front. Offensive line's got to win the battle. I mean, we always say it's always one in the trenches. It's true. If you can't get that run game going, it's going to be a long night.
It's going to be a long night. Here's a couple things. Outside of that Texas game, Alabama's defense has been rock solid. The offense didn't play well down in Tampa, USF, but you kind of go back to what they were able to do against Ole Miss and then a Mississippi State attack that couldn't get to 270 passing yards. Especially when you look at what Ole Miss has been able to do, especially against LSU defensively, like when they were able to put up that many yards, I think it speaks even more volumes of what Alabama was able to limit those two teams in doing. Really, really impressed with Alabama's defense over the past couple of weeks. The pass rush has gotten a little bit better. The secondary is locked down. That being said, this is probably the second best quarterback they faced. I think we say Quinn Ewers is better than Tyler Van Dyke. We'll see at the end of the season. I have no clue how these two teams will show out. But, I think defensively it's going to be something very, very interesting to watch. Also, another note, A&M had 3 turnovers against Arkansas last week that really kept that game closer than it should have been. It really should not have been that close. That being said, if the Aggies are going to win this game, they can't make mistakes. But, they got the number 1 defense in total defense in the SEC right now. They're getting off the field very well at a very high rate, one of the tops in the country, being able to get off the field on third downs. And right now, the combination of Petrino and Fisher is working. Now, I don't know if you're playing with fire necessarily with these two guys, but it's definitely working. And so that's something I think that I'm excited to watch this game. So real quick, let's get to the picks if we haven't already. Will, I know you said you're going with Texas A&M, correct?
Correct.
Ralph, who are you rolling with?
A&M.
A&M. Well, I'll play devil's advocate. I'm going to roll with Alabama. I think that we all had them dead in the water.
Save the graphic, as they say on College Game Day.
Yeah, save the graphic. There you go. I think I'm going to roll with Alabama. 2007 was the last time that Alabama lost 2 games before October 10th, and that was Nick Saban's first season. I don't see it happening again, at least not now. I think that they could lose. They could. This game, I think we're going to see a chip on Alabama's shoulder. To me, Alabama's a dangerous team when, we've seen in years past when Nick Saban makes up these things like Kirby Smart did last year at Georgia to be able to, make comments that fuel your team. Well, now there's real fuel. There's real fuel media out there to the fire that you can go to. And I think I'm going to take Alabama. I'm going to take Alabama in a close one. It's going to be a good game, though. Just
like Ryan Day did after Notre Dame.
Yeah, but I don't think Nick Saban's going to be attacking any 80-year-old men. So I think that you're 90, excuse me. One apologies there to that one. Let's rock and roll with the next game here. Texas and Oklahoma. Now, the Sooners coming to this game, they're really, really good. Like, I think that Texas has been dominating the headlines, guys, and we really haven't paid attention to a veteran quarterback like Dylan Gabriel, who's having a nice season. Ralph, we'll start with you on this one. Oklahoma. Not much love from the national media, but Brent Venables has done a really nice job here in year 2. But does Texas just have too many weapons, in your opinion? How does this one march out?
Yeah, I'm not going to give my pick just yet. I'll wait till we get done. I like Oklahoma this year. I think Venables has really got this program turned around after year 1. Dylan Gabriel, such a very veteran quarterback. their offense is extremely good this year. You know, they're scoring on all cylinders, and you know they're scoring a lot of points right now. We saw week 1, we saw last week with 50 points against Iowa State, and you know the offense is good, but they haven't faced a real good defense yet. I mean, SMU was probably their worst game offensively, and that was against SMU's defense, which is not a very strong defense.
Mm-hmm.
You're facing a very good Texas defense, and they're really good. You saw what they did against Alabama and what they've done weeks past. So Oklahoma's got to play their best game all year, and this is not a game you have mistakes in. If you have mistakes, you're going to get beat by 20 or 30 if you're not looking. I mean, we saw this happen. What was it 2 years ago when Texas went up big, and then Oklahoma brought Caleb Williams in, and then they win the game later on.
2 years ago, yeah, it was Lincoln Riley's last year.
I believe that's going to happen again, but I don't think Oklahoma makes a comeback.
Yeah, I think Texas can't sleepwalk through this game. Not that they will.
No.
Well, this is one of the best venues in college football, Texas State Fair. It's going to be a fantastic atmosphere. One of the true original venues, too, when you look at college football and what they're going to do. When you look at this game, Texas, they've beefed up the fronts, both defensive and offensive. I think that's been the biggest difference for them. They tackle better. Like Ralph said, they're taking care of business against lesser opponents. How does that shake out against an Oklahoma team that does have some weapons? And like we said, Dylan Gabriel, who's been really nice this year for the Sooners.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how Oklahoma does on the outside in the passing game, because I don't think they're really going to be able to run it much, which is fine for them. They don't run it a ton. Their leading rusher is Marcus Major. He's sitting at 199 yards on the season coming into this game. So they air it out. Dylan Gabriel's at almost 1,600 passing yards. He'll hit that number in this game. So they sling it, which is fine with them. That Texas only gives up 94 yards a game on the ground. So it's going to be, can Dylan Gabriel hit his receiver? Can his receivers get open against a really strong secondary? And can he hit them when they're open is going to be the question. How does Texas pass rush? Can they get to Dylan Gabriel? Jeff Lebby's offense, it's been high powered all year. They're averaging 510 yards a game. This is a tough game to pick. The line is Texas -5, and it's come down. It was -7 earlier in the week. So it's a really tough one to pick because it's going to be close, I think, down to the wire. I like Texas to win. I think their defense will do enough, can get enough stops, maybe create enough turnovers, a turnover or two to really swing the game. I think offensively Texas can kind of do what they want to against Oklahoma. Defensively, Brent Venables doesn't have all the kinks worked out yet. He doesn't have all the talent that he wants to have in that defense quite yet. And I think Texas can take advantage. I like Texas to win, but I like Oklahoma to cover. I think it's going to be very close.
Yeah, and you guys have kind of echoed the same thing in the sense that Oklahoma's there. This is a really good team. Last year, the biggest thing about Oklahoma was the defense was awful. They were in the bottom half of the Big 12. I think they ranked 9th overall in total defense. The schedule has not been something that you say, wow, they've beaten this opponent or an A-list or even B-list opponent. But you know what? Like, Cincinnati and Iowa State are not bad teams, and so I think that's something where
I think Iowa State's pretty bad.
Iowa State's not bad. I would say Iowa State's not terrible.
They beat Arkansas State 73-0. I don't care who you're playing. That's an impressive.
That's impressive. Yeah, and you made a grown man cry in that game too. Who I don't even know why he cried. He's a champion of life. So I mean, if that's what you're striving for, it is just what it is. That being said, they're number 1 in the Big 12 in scoring, number 1 in scoring defense. They're number 1 in turnover margin. I don't know. We'll get your picks real quick before I make mine. Will, what's yours? Who you rolling with? Texas, you said?
Texas.
Ralph, who you rolling with?
Close.
Texas to cover.
I'm going to take Oklahoma.
Oh, God.
I think I'm going
just
to take
want to be
Oklahoma.
different.
Yeah,
You just want to be different.
This is why. And I mentioned they have been so good at forcing turnovers this year. Oklahoma is. Now, it's against lesser competition. Can the pass rush get home to Quinn Ewers? I mean, have we seen – because I would argue in that game against Alabama's pass rush was non-existent. They really couldn't do anything. If Oklahoma can do that, they can win this game. Now, listen, I do think that these two teams are going to meet again in December for the Big 12 title game. We talked about that. These are two teams that it's going to be very interesting to see kind of how the rest of their seasons play out. I think Texas starts out fast. I think the momentum gets there, but I think that Oklahoma is going to have a chip on their shoulder after getting blown out 49-0 last year in a game that really, really was not even close. So I'm rolling with the Sooners. I think the Sooners in an upset, but like you guys said, I think this is a fantastic matchup year in and year out. The momentum's going to shift so many different times. But back-to-back games, and I'm taking the least popular pick. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Let's roll to the next game. Up in Como, Columbia, Missouri, and thank God I'm not making the trip up there. But it's
You didn't want to fly to St. Louis
or Kansas City. That's like the talk
you
of
can't
everyone.
fly into Columbia.
It's like trying to fly into like I don't even know where, like Troy or something like that. I mean, it's just like non-existent. So that
There's
being
an
said,
airport. It's just I wouldn't land on it.
it doesn't even have a landing strip. It's just
Might hit a cow.
it's just a pasture somewhere. Let's talk about this game. You guys go first. Will LSU, Missouri is it just going to be a track meet?
I think so. If you like offenses, if you like points, tune into this one. Early kick, noon, 11 a.m. if you're Bryce. These offenses are really good. LSU 551 yards a game, Missouri 453 yards a game. So they're going to move it, and they both do it through the air. Both of them are averaging over 300 yards passing. Two really good quarterbacks, Jaden Daniels, Brady Cook. I mean, these are two teams that have the look. Even I know LSU lost to Ole Miss, but these are still two teams that you could see in Atlanta at the end of the season playing again for the SEC championship. I think Missouri's offense is that good. They're going to have to outscore everybody, but I think their offense is that good. They've got weapons. Luther Burden headlining those receivers, former number one player in his class, and has just hit the ground running. And Missouri had a good freshman year last year, and he's off to a good start this year. Believe it or not, Missouri does play some defense. They're only giving up 75 yards per game on the ground. I think that's going to be the big key in this one. If they can force LSU into second and third and longs, they're going to have a really good chance of winning this game. A lot of times you talk about a home game in the SEC, you talk about the home crowd being an advantage. That's not really the case in Columbia, and they may change it because they're off to a 5-0 start. They get LSU, who I don't think LSU's been to Columbia since Missouri joined the SEC.
They lost to them in 2020 up there. LSU
they did in 2020.
Yes, in 2020, the LSU lost to. So the last time they went to Como, they lost.
Okay. Either way, this is a big game. Missouri fans, they may show out for this early kick in a big game because they smell blood in the water.
Yeah,
and this is going to be a really, really fun game to watch.
Yeah, it's an LSU team that is, it is just Jekyll and Hyde when you talk about these two sides of the football. You have an offense that could win a national championship if it had a competent or average defense, and the defense is Georgia Tech level. It's just what it is, and it's at that tier. I mean, they're literally
they give up 430 yards per game.
And you would like to think this is the problem. You would like to think that the outlier is the Ole Miss game, which when you have a game like that, like that's the outlier for everyone, and it's not. It's just not. That's the problem. I mean, they held Grambling, but it's what does that mean? So
and Mississippi State,
who I think's terrible.
They gave up 31 to Arkansas and 45 to Florida State. So
yeah.
And 49 to Ole Miss. So 2 out of 3 games they give up over 40 points.
One game gave up 50 points. They gave up 55 points to Ole Miss. They scored 49.
Oh, that's right.
See, it's so confusing and Jekyll and Hyde that you would think, they scored 49, they won. No, it's one of those things. Ralph, before I, go in on this, you let me know how you think. LSU, can they find a defense against Brady Cook, who's been really, really good this year?
Yeah, I like Brady Cook and this offense is doing there over in Como. I like what Drinkwitz has done this year. I like how he defends his quarterback for one. After that game against Kansas State when they went in and beat Kansas State, who was a ranked opponent at home, and Drinkwitz came in. I said, I hated how our fan base booed our quarterback at the first drive. Like he says, I can't stand it. Missouri's a scary team to play. 12 o'clock kickoffs are never fun to play. I think LSU's got a tough test here. I mean, a lot of people are going to pick LSU to win this game. It's not that easy. I mean, look, Como is a dangerous place to play, no matter who it is. I mean, even when Georgia went there last year, who was a national champion, barely got out of there alive. So LSU's got to find the defense, like you said. I mean, I know you know more about LSU than we do because you covered them. So to me, if LSU does not find a defense, they're not winning this game. I really believe that.
It's going to be interesting. Here's a couple things for me on this that I find interesting, and I actually wrote an article by today, kind of inside the numbers, looking at it. Will, you mentioned the ability to run the football. Missouri's only given up 2.9 yards per carry so far this season, and ranks second nationally in rushing success rate per PFF. Make sure to get your exclusive subscription to them. That's only through certain websites on the internet. That being said, while LSU's offense can really, and not only can be, they are elite through the air. If Logan Diggs, who has established himself, I think, as a top 5 back in the SEC per stats, you can look at that as well. He's just been really, really good. Didn't even play the first game against Florida State. They can continue offensive dominance if they can be balanced. I don't feel comfortable with a Jaden Daniels dropping back 50 times. That's not what LSU is built to do. That's really not what they're, I don't think able to do. Now, can they throw it? Yes. Third down success rate's another one. Missouri ranks 95th offensively in third down conversion rate and 71st in late down success rate. Now, LSU's been terrible in third downs. There's just no ifs, ands, buts about it. The Tigers of Louisiana, the 3rd and 11 might as well be 3rd and 2 for them. I mean, they can't stop anything. I don't know. I don't understand it. If they can even improve marginally 5 to 10% in this game, that's the difference between, one, getting off the field, and you probably would say, two, about 10 to 15 plays that you have to play as a defense as well, if you can do that. Missouri also 13 of 21 in the category when it comes to being in the red zone and scoring touchdowns. That's something for me that if LSU can force 3 instead of 6, then that bodes well for a track meet. I'll say this about the Missouri defense. I think that Missouri is a really, really good early season story. I think that Eli Drinkwitz is a guy that has been struggling up there for sure. And he's quieted the concerns about his job. I think that's obvious as well. That being said, I don't think Missouri has encountered anything of what the offense of LSU is yet. They obviously beat a Kansas State team that's a pretty solid program. But that game last week against Vanderbilt, went back and watched it, they really didn't dominate. Now, the final score, if you just looked at it, you would say, yeah, they did. It was too close for too long. And I just think that the pressure that Missouri's offense is going to feel to match LSU, they haven't had to be in that type of situation. Now can they do it? You mentioned, Ralph, Brady Cook is a guy that I got right here. Cook has been very, very good. 75%, 11 touchdowns, no picks. Will, you mentioned it. Luther Burden is a bona fide superstar. The biggest win of the offseason might be the fact that Missouri was able to keep him. Because that teams were coming to call for him in the portal. That being said, really, really like this matchup. I think it can be a track meet. And I'll go give a pick. I do think LSU wins this one. I think LSU can win this one. I don't know how they're going to. I don't think it's going to be because of your defense necessarily. I just think that LSU has probably the most explosive offense in the SEC, and it's really, really going to be hard for Missouri to stop them. And I haven't seen Missouri with the pressure yet to know every single time I touch the ball, I've got to score. LSU did that last week, and they nearly pulled it off. I think they can do it against a lesser opponent in Missouri than Ole Miss for me. So that's my pick. Will, who you rolling with in this one?
I'm going LSU, and I like LSU to cover. It's a 4-point spread. Give me LSU.
LSU. Ralph, who you rolling with?
I just realized this. This is a matchup between the two best receivers in the country right now in receiving yards with Luther Burden and Malik Neighbors. I think those two right there, whoever has the better game is the game changer. I truly believe in, because if it comes down to kicking game, I got Missouri. They can kick a 60-yard to win the game. I'd pick Missouri all day on that one.
Damian Ramos missed a 54-yarder, so you are correct in that. He missed it against Ole Miss, so
and you've played devil's advocate, past 2 picks. I'm gonna go with Missouri, just because. I don't think it. And I think it's a shootout. I really do. I think it's a 45-48 finish, something like that.
Yeah. The only problem with that is that you said the losing score first. That's what I didn't like about that. But it is what it is.
If it comes down to Malik Neighbors and Luther Burden, from what I've seen from LSU's defense, I'm taking Luther Burden every time.
Oh gosh. Well, and Ralph, I'll even extend it for you. The receivers you mentioned, it's 3 of the top 5 receivers in the SEC and 3 of the top 15 receivers in the country. Brian Thomas Jr. leads the country in touchdown receptions. So it's one of those things. This is, if you want to watch this game, you want to watch elite receivers play. One, terrible defensive secondaries in the sense of LSU. They're not going to. I don't even know how you guard Luther Burden. Like I think you just have to chop block them in the beginning and so hope you mess something up.
One comment. This is off what you said earlier. You know, Missouri hasn't had to like play in a game where they had to win, like score back and forth to win a game. All their games have really been close, though. If you look at, I mean, obviously,
True.
South Dakota was a 15-point game. That's South Dakota. But MTSU 4 points, Kansas State 3, Memphis 7, Vanderbilt 17. I mean, most of these games have been close. So this is a real test of like, here we go. Can we shoot out with somebody else? So I'm really actually excited for this matchup. I'm
excited to watch this one. 11 a.m. kickoff. We'll see how both teams handle that as well. And there's a chance for LSU to also it's a chance for LSU to get back on the right track. You mentioned, Will, I mean, you got a game happening in College Station where you mentioned it is right now the SEC de facto West Championship. If LSU wants any part of that type of conversation going forward with just one conference loss, it's win out from here on out. We saw them have to do that last year. Can they do it again? I don't think so. I think there's at least 2 more losses on the schedule. But we'll see. We'll see. I do think I think they could lose. So we'll see. It'd be very, very interesting to watch. And yeah, there you go, Rob. LSU, exactly. That's what they're asking about the defense because they can't find them anywhere. News also, Deuce Chestnut, the former All-ACC player, not on the team anymore. He's away from the team as of today. So they have 4 scholarship cornerbacks on this roster. So it's rough. It's rough. Yes, that's what I got to say about that. Let's roll into the next game here. Can the Cats shock the Dogs? Now, this one, listen, guys, I'm not going. I'm going to be sitting on the couch. Wife already said she's making some buffalo chicken dip. And we're going to sit here and we're going to watch this game. Now, we're going to watch this game. I'm going to do a live reaction to the game that we're going to take a look afterwards, which is just a bummer that we didn't save this one for last. And we decided, let's just do the other one first. Just do the other one first, Ralph. Just switch it up.
Are you guys sure you want to do this one first?
Yeah, I just want your thoughts. I've already previewed it. I think that Miami can cover this. I got a text message this morning from someone who listened to yesterday's podcast about this. I don't know. Thoughts? Ralph, you go first. Georgia Tech, Miami. Is the spread still 21.5?
It's down to 20.
20.
Oh. All right, take it away, Ralph.
You really let me go first? That's just dangerous.
Go ahead. Just open it up.
Well, and I think what Bryce has said the past few days about Georgia Tech on his show has been, I mean, the truth to the fullest. I mean, I really believe.
Well, we only speak the truth, but I appreciate it.
Well, most of his shows are our opinions, so why not? Just might as well just go out and say it. Tech has looked horrible. I mean, that last week's performance was horrible, and I mean, I watched it with Will for a few plays, and I'll be honest with you, Will, we were laughing. We truly were.
We were just laughing at every play that.
It's because you were up 14-0. The next time we looked, it was 38-14 Bowling Green. To that, for that to happen, you have to play the worst football ever. I mean, I truly believe that. Watching some of those plays with Bryce, I was laughing because it was horrible performance. And I know I pulled for a team that got blown out by Kansas State. We didn't look that bad, though. We didn't get blown out by Bowling Green at home. That's horrible. So you're going into Miami, who beat A&M very well, a team that looks really good this year, a team that looks a lot better than they have in the past. They might put 60 on you if you're not careful.
Ooh.
I mean, look, I know. Look,
what do you mean might?
Well, look,
what do you mean might?
You not remember a few years ago when they played Clemson and got beat 77-0 or 77-3? What do you mean? Ooh, yeah. Miami could put 60 on them in a heartbeat.
Well, here's the problem in that, Ralph, is that game they were lifting weights on the sideline before the game. See, they're not doing that anymore.
That was the debut of the ACC network. That was the first image everybody saw on the ACC network.
Guess what, Will? This game's on the ACC network, so be prepared. It's gonna be everyone's gonna walk out there with cut off hoodies. They're gonna try their mean faces on, and they're gonna get blown up by 60. That's what's gonna happen on Saturday.
Ralph's taking the Canes, and he thinks they cover. Go ahead, Will. I'll get Ralph. Ralph's a little red in the face. We'll give him a break.
Well, the short of it, I agree with Ralph. I like Miami. I like them to cover. Georgia Tech. I mean, where I don't know what more can be said of just how.
Just go back to you. Yeah, go ahead.
How poor that was. I mean, it was pathetic. The Bowling Green game, just absolutely pathetic. and all the decisions coming out of Georgia Tech the last 2 weeks just make no sense. You demote your defensive coordinator, but keep him on staff. What good does that do? That doesn't do anybody any good. That won't change anything. Yeah, you have somebody else calling the plays, but nothing changes. Your scheme may have some minor tweaks, but nothing changes. We saw them in Mercedes-Benz against Louisville in week 1. A really fun game, really back and forth game. Georgia Tech. Do what?
They're blowing another lead. Tech's great at it.
Okay, they blew another lead, but my point is they showed fight in that game. They got down early. They came back. They had the lead. But they did end up blowing it. But there was fight. We saw a fight from that team. There was no fight against Bowling Green. I don't know what's happened in 4 weeks. And that's especially coming off a road win at Wake Forest. I mean, I don't really know what this tells us about Wake Forest. I knew they weren't going to be as good as they have been in years past, but for them to lose by 2 touchdowns at home to this Georgia Tech team is pretty mind-blowing. Bryce, you've said it, and you're exactly right. It's getting old hearing from these coaches, oh, yeah, we want to play physical. We're going to be physical. And then you go out and lose at home by 2 touchdowns to a group of 5 team that has no business even being on the field with you. Yeah. This game's going to be ugly. It's going to be ugly from the kick, and Miami's going to score a lot of points. I think you can win a lot of money this weekend if you take Miami minus 20, if you take probably the over, and if you take Miami's team total over, because I think Miami's just going to do whatever they want to against this Georgia Tech defense.
If you haven't already, make sure to check out the preview to this, and had a pretty big monologue there at the beginning. Just talking about like you mentioned, Will, some of the changes and everything as well.
And what's really disappointing about this is Georgia Tech has a pretty good offense. Haynes King has been really, really good this year. Georgia Tech looks like they finally have a quarterback that they can win some games with. And the defense is the worst. One of the worst. They have
future Alabama or Ole Miss receiver Eric Singleton balling out right now.
Oh no!
Because here's the thing: if Tech can go out there and at least make it a close game, that's a win. Because right now it's looking like you're about to get the brakes beat off you. If you show up and make it a contest, that's a win. Take what you can. Obviously, you want to win this game. You want to upset Miami on the road. You don't have their weapons they have. This is a game you just go out there and compete the best you can. Hope God they don't kill you. So
Tech's going to have to win the turnover battle. They have not been able to do that consistently. This is the big thing, Rob. I think they scored more than 3. I'll give them more credit than that. I do think they scored more than 3. Look, this is a tough one because I want them to go down there and win. I want them to ruin Miami Knights and the blackout jerseys. We're going to be live Saturday night talking about it, so it's going to be very, very interesting to take calls. We're taking calls too, Ralph, so you better buckle up for that.
I'm not going to be here. Sorry. I got a wedding to go to, so no, I won't be here.
That being said, Miami has played it really well. They've just have 3 giveaways. They got a +4 margin. Guys, they've run for 240 yards or more in 3 games this season. That I don't care who you're playing. And we saw, like you saw me with the Micah Parsons shuffle, pre-snap shuffle. Tech's not doing that. They're not doing that, and they can't stop the run. And it's pitiful because I think that if this defense is bad, you're going to get blown out. I like Haynes King. I like the offense. You guys mentioned Eric Singleton. I think they could keep it close for like a quarter and a half. But there's been nothing defensively for me that I've seen over a consistent basis that leads me to give the confidence that they can hang around with. I don't have it. I don't have it. So I think I put my final score prediction as 34-20 over there, but it's going to be very, very interesting to kind of see. I think it could be uglier. I think it could be uglier. And the only thing I will give Miami, you're coming off a bye week. Are they looking ahead to that big matchup against North Carolina next weekend? Do they come out flat after not playing last week? You can look at 2 different ways. You either come out well rested, ready to go. But if I saw this on a preview, if Miami comes back and they play to what people think they should play as, they will blow the doors off Georgia Tech. Because if they're really who Mario Cristobal preaches, and I'll tell you, there's a guy down there that preaches toughness, and they've lived up to it so far. If they come out and play like that, if they answer the call, I don't think this game's going to be close other than, opening kickoff in the first couple drives in the first quarter. I just don't see it. But I want to go back up real quick to Dr. Bob's comment there, Ralph, where he says Saturday night will tell us a lot. It will. It's going to not just this team. It's going to tell you a lot about the direction of the program. Very disappointing loss last week in every aspect of toughness, mental fortitude, just awful for me. So I don't know how I feel about it. Let's move on to this next game. Let's roll. Will rocking. Will, can we get a hands up check real quick?
Nope. Don't do
Nope.
hands up.
I think I can still see it.
I saw it a minute ago. Don't feel bad.
Auburn's on a bye week, which is means we're going to head over to Athens. This is going to be fun, guys. I think this is going to be. I think this could be a fun game. Will, you go ahead because I don't think you don't have a lot of confidence in Kentucky to be able to go here. Let us know. Let the folks know. What do you think about this matchup?
I really like Georgia in this game. Georgia's a 2-touchdown favorite at home, and I think Georgia's going to win, and I think they're going to cover that. I think last week against Auburn, Georgia did not look good for 3 quarters on really either side of the ball. The defense, maybe after a quarter and a half, started looking better. But for 3 quarters, their offense didn't look that great, and then they clicked in the fourth quarter. We've seen Kirby Smart teams. They're very similar to Nick Saban teams. Obviously, we've seen Nick Saban teams do it. Once they go on the road and they play a tight road game where they don't play very well and they still come out with a win, that springboards them forward the rest of the way, and they play the way everybody thought they would play and to the top of their ability. And I think that's going to be the case here. They're not going to play in a tougher environment than they did against Auburn last week. And then they come back home against a Kentucky team who's riding high after a dominating win against Florida. They saw how Auburn ran on Georgia, so they think they can do the same thing. It's not going to happen. Yeah. Kirby Smart, Dan Lanning, Will Muschamp, that 3-headed monster, but running that defense is going to correct it. I said it after the game. We talked in our video. This linebacker group for Georgia is probably the worst it's been under Kirby Smart, but they can with those 3 guys, they can scheme around a little bit less talent. And that offense, they're finally clicking. Mike Bobo, I think just about every game he's called a really, really good game. It just took Carson Beck getting comfortable in that offense, knowing what to look for, being able to diagnose the defense. It took him a while against Auburn, but he finally did it, and it showed with Brock Bowers. And who's going to cover Brock Bowers for Kentucky? I don't think anybody's going to. Did I say Dan Lanning? I meant Glenn Schumann. Sorry, I misspoke. Glenn Schumann. Glenn Schumann. But I think it can be fun pretty early because Kentucky's going to come out and run the ball. It's going to be another physical game. Ray Davis ran for nearly 250 yards on Florida. But I don't think Kentucky's going to be able to run like that. Devin Leary, he's not been great so far. He had a pretty decent game against Florida, but the story was definitely the run game, and they just kept going back to it. He's going to have to throw in this game. He's thrown 5 interceptions. That's more than he had all last year at NC State. Yeah. And Georgia's going to be rocking. I think this is the biggest home game of the year for Georgia, and I think they're going to be on the road the next couple of weeks, so these fans are going to be ready to go. And it's a night game. All those signs to me point toward Georgia.
Hey, Will. He ran for 280 yards.
280?
280.
Yeah.
They ran for 329 as a team. Yeah. And so I'll say this, Will, to your comment, and let's go up to Dr. Bob's comment about Kentucky going into Athens there, Ralph, because it kind of talks about what Will was really going with. Dr. Bob, fantastic. Just a wealth of knowledge. Just wealth of knowledge, Dr. Bob. He says Kentucky went to Athens 2 years ago in the same situation and got rocked. Stoops has been incredible at Kentucky, but he hasn't beaten Georgia yet. It'd be monumental for him in that program. It'd be a program-defining win. It'd be a signature win. Look, I said this, Mark Stoops in Kentucky, when we talked about the Florida game, it's probably the most comfiest, best job in America because you really don't have super high expectations there, but he's delivered. He has gotten them to bowl games. He's got them on the cusp of getting to Atlanta. He's got them into New Year's 6 bowl games. So that being said, really, really like, I love it, Jonesy. Really, really like where Kentucky is. Ralph, you talk here. I mean, 329 rushing yards against Florida. Once again, it's an SEC opponent. Georgia hasn't been great against the run. This defense feels like a sleeping giant, but do they wake up at home, night game in Athens, in Sanford Stadium?
Yes, I mean, I've been saying all week, and I think I've said it to y'all today. I like Kentucky in this matchup for a finally beaten Georgia for once. I don't think Stoops can do it this year. He gets them in the year where he has to play them on the road in Athens at night. This is the first night game, if I'm correct, for that in Athens.
No,
so
second
one,
third actually.
Well, the first two didn't count.
This is the only one that counts.
Yeah,
you're right.
This is the first real night game in Athens. The fans are going to be absolutely crazy. Athens is always loud. Kentucky's a great team. I don't think they're the best team in the SEC East. I think Georgia still is. We saw them play Auburn last week in a very tough environment, and they played well. Now they came out with a too close for call or too close for comfort to win, but I don't think Carson Beck's is going to play bad at home in front of his fans. He's going to be too comfortable at home. I feel like this team's just too good still. Brock Bowers. I don't have to say anything else about that. Brock Bowers truly is the best player in college football. We saw it last week. When he needed to step up, he stepped up. So
yeah,
if Georgia needs him to answer the call, we know he can. So Georgia's, I think they're going to win this comfortably, honestly.
Well, the thing is, if Dan Lanning answers the call, and I don't think Jones is going to let you live that one down. But it's
Dan Lanning?
Listen, man, I misspoke.
Yeah, you'll never.
I say it too.
No, you'll never live that one down. Let's talk about what has been an issue. They are making enough mistakes. Once again, Dr. Bob, just a wealth of knowledge. They're making enough mistakes to kind of keep other teams around. They did that against Auburn, the 2 turnovers. Auburn played a great game, but obviously, like we talked about, the recipe for an upset was there. I'm going to lean in on Carson Beck here. Will, you and I talked about this. He wasn't really rattled at Auburn. I think that feeding off the home crowd, it's a chance for this Georgia offensive line to really assert themselves. It's a chance for them to really be physical up front. And it's a defensive line that hasn't really been all that fantastic this year. But once again, like you said, Will, this is a game that could springboard Georgia. It was Missouri last year when they had to go do this. They, were just kind of sleepwalking. And I think it's fair to say they have sleptwalked through the first 4 or 5 games of the schedule. I think we can say that about Georgia. You can't sleepwalk through this one. Kentucky can take advantage. I think it comes down to the quarterback battle, though. I do not think that Devin Leary is going to come out here and I'll tell you what, Rob Barefield's a referee, unless he's got some type of thing he's cooking up for this game. If that's what that means, Rob, you didn't say it on this show. That being said, I want to see Devin Leary in that 2021 form. If that comes to fruition, like we've talked about, Will, how well they've done through the transfer portal and they can utilize these weapons, maybe it happens. I don't see it. I think Georgia wins this game, and this could be a season-defining win for Georgia where now it catapults them where they, blast Vandy the next weekend in Nashville. And then they take that into the Georgia-Florida game, and then they continue on down the road. You mentioned, Will, the toughest home game. I think this is going to be it until Ole Miss comes to town. When you talk about games in Sanford Stadium, that obviously, you play Tennessee, you play Ole Miss, and then you're just going to have a team that it wouldn't matter if you played them at home or away. It's still a home game there at the end of the regular season. So that being said, I think Georgia wins this one. I think we're across the board. We're going with Georgia to be able to defend home turf. But I'll tell you one thing. If you like chaos, and I don't mind chaos, it'd be really fun to see Kentucky win this football game and someone else be representing in Atlanta at the end of the season. But I'll say this, even if Kentucky did win, I don't know that Georgia doesn't get there still. So it would be very interesting to see with the rest of the schedule and how it would play out of what they could be able to do. That's our games. Ralph, let's talk best bets here. We're going to go first with Will's best bet of the night before we get out of here. Florida Atlantic -3 versus Tulsa. We'll go into the degenerate route with the group of 5 game that no one's going to watch. So, Will, you roll with us here. This game's featured on what? The Stadium Network? We're going to be watching this one on?
This is not a degenerate special. This is a smart. It's actually on ESPN Plus. So,
excuse me.
Respect.
I respect ESPN Plus. I don't respect the Stadium Network, but keep going.
My only thing about this game that I like is Tom Herman. Tom Herman is 65% winner against the spread when the spread is less than a touchdown. When he's an underdog or favorite of 6 or fewer points, he's 21, 12, and 1. It's on Bally. As a head coach, when the spread is less than 6, he owns it. Tulsa is under a new head coach. They're working out their kinks. They're not off to a good start. We know what Tom Herman can do. Tom Herman's got experience. Yeah, FAU. I
don't
guess
mind
it is
that.
degenerate because I don't know much about it other than Tom Herman owns low spreads.
There you go. Ralph, you roll with yours here, sir. Tell us what you got cooking up over there.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Don't ever trust me, for one. Don't ever trust me. Well, I like Washington State this year. Yeah, please, truly do. This is just shocking to me. Washington State's number 13 in the country, and they're a +3 underdog on the road at UCLA. I'm not down at UCLA. Chip Kelly's a good coach there. He's a great college coach. That's all he really was, is a great college coach. Cameron Ward, Washington State's quarterback, is balling out.
Very good.
They've been
very good.
They've been very underrated, and they beat a great Oregon State team last week. This is a team that you don't sleep on, and for them to be a 3-point underdog on the road, I really like this. I might take this personally because
might.
State,
Tell me you hadn't been taking these.
You think I really took Kansas +16.5 against Texas last week? That'd have been a dumb bet.
That was your best bet.
That was your best one, not just a dumb one. It was your best one.
But yeah, this team's very good. They can score with anybody. Their offense is electric. I'm really looking forward to this Washington State matchup in a few weeks. But this game right here, I got Washington State. I think they're gonna easily win this game. I think they blow them out. Honestly, this is a team I don't think UCLA's offense really is that good right now.
Yeah, it's still got a young quarterback. It's gonna be interesting to see. Let's go to my best bet here. Once again, we're gonna roll with this as Will's just dying in the comments.
Oh, I know. Yeah, this one right
just...
here. I you know what? First 3 weeks I was firing.
Yeah, Ralph's on a cold streak, that's for sure. I'm 2 for 2, and it's Missouri is a great team because they cover, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm going to go with the same line, 13.5 points. I'm taking the Rutgers Fighting Scarlets Knights, the Fighting Greg Schiano's. That's what I'm taking. The short-term Tennessee coach? Can we call Greg Schiano that? The one for 1 day or about a half hour? The Greg Schiano. Yeah, he's just like Carmelo Anthony's stint with the Atlanta Hawks. He was there for just a breath of fresh air. This is why, other than the fact that Rutgers is absolutely horrendous at passing the football, they have scored for 24 points in every single game except for Michigan. Wisconsin's not Michigan. Wisconsin's a solid football team, but they're not Michigan's defensively. Michigan's also the only other team that has top 20 points against Rutgers. So I think this is going to be, a game where it's an ugly one. It can be a very, very physical football game. And Rutgers does have quietly one of the stronger defenses in the Big Ten. I'm not looking at the comments. I've got other stuff pulled up that I'm all working off of. The last thing right here with Rutgers. 4-0. There we go, Dr. Bob. Appreciate you. Rutgers, 4-0 against the spread. 4-0-1 against the spread this year. Wisconsin is 1-2-1. I'm taking the Scarlet Knights. Can I get 3 in a row and get back? Dr. Bob, this is what we need you to do. This is a tall task, but I'll get you a T-shirt if you do this. Can you go back and can you compile our records? Can you compile our records? And when we go into Monday night show, I want to know our records so we know what we are against the spread here. But I'm taking Rutgers +13.5. Yeah, guys, college football week 6. We don't have the graphics for this, but it's fine. We'll go with you, Ralph, on this first one off the cuff. Is there any other game that you're just excited to watch this Saturday? I know that you said you're going to be at a wedding, so you're going to be slacking. I told you to quit your job so that you could be able to stay in the know of what's going on. It didn't work out like that. You did hear that voicemail, though, that we got about the $500,000 loan that we're approved for. So, yeah. So just walk me through. That's more than $175K a day, I believe. But yeah, let's. I just saw Jones's comment. Ralph, go ahead. What's a game that you want to watch, and you're going to be very, very excited?
I may steal this from Will. I don't know. I'm gonna take UCF at Kansas.
You did. Jerk.
I'm sorry. I know. I apologize to you, but not really. Don't care. Kansas last week really played a horrible game. They didn't have their quarterback Jalen Daniels, and UCF did not also have their quarterback last week. Well, this show is going off the rails. Well, this is a tough test for UCF. I think all of me and Will are big fans of Gus Malzahn. Always have been. We ride the Gus bus no matter what.
Yeah.
But this is a Kansas team that's really good. They're not horrible anymore. If Jalen Daniels is playing, I like Kansas.
I think that it has
You need help. That's what you need.
This is what I think. I think that
Oh God.
Put him in timeout. No one put him in timeout.
okay. Will, just go ahead. What's the game that you're excited to watch this weekend?
Where'd he go?
I think he just walked away. I think he's done with the show. Go ahead.
I'm stuck between two. You go because
Okay.
I'm stuck between two. I don't want to take yours.
Well, I don't even have one, so you just go.
Okay.
No, I actually go. Ole Miss, Arkansas. I know we mentioned it. We didn't preview this game. If Arkansas loses this game, I think that Sam Pittman's on the hot seat. Like, I think that he is. I don't think they can afford to drop a game like this. But is Ole Miss for real? Like, is Ole Miss a team that is offensively going to be able to move the ball, offensively going to be able to do what they wanted like they did against LSU? And can that defense shine? Because, look, there's still a path for Ole Miss to get back in this, especially if A&M beats Alabama on Saturday. So that'll be something very interesting to watch. That's mine. Real quick.
I'm interested to see if Dan Enos takes
Replies to any
that
emails.
advice. He replied. I wonder if he's going to take the
Yeah.
advice.
He might. I couldn't tell you. Here's a good one. No, not that one. Get that out of here. My game of the week, Dr. Bob, number 25, Fresno State versus Wyoming. Might be the best two teams in the group of five. That's actually going to be a pretty good game. Wyoming's only loss comes to Texas, who they played really tough. So, Will, do you have one?
Yeah, I'm stuck between two. It's homecoming in Gainesville. They're hosting Vanderbilt, who has kind of owned them the last few years. Very interested to see how Florida reacts after just getting run through by Kentucky. And the other one is Notre Dame and Louisville. A lot of playoff postseason implications in this game. So yeah, those two I'll be watching for sure. You can barely hear it, so.
Oh, I got you. Don't worry.
Get copyrighted again. There we go.
We won't be copyrighted for this.
It's demonetized for this crap again.
There's no copyright.
There we go.
for this.
Just want to shout out Gavin Hart, who might watch this out of the fact. Will, Ralph told us to do that to you last night. He was like, you got to do it when Ralph talks just to see what happens.
Yes, Josie,
hey.
you heard that right. Florida got ran through by Kentucky.
Ran through. No doubt about
Ralph knows about running through.
Okay, we're going to just call it here. Will Mannis, Ralph Leary. Just, get those guys out of there. Push them all the way out. Let's get out of there. My name's Bryce Koon. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. We have a good time. Obviously, we had some people message me say, hey, didn't know you were live doing this. We changed the show schedule this week, but this is the show schedule going forward. Saturday night, we're going to have a post-game live reaction from the Georgia Tech fans on whatever happens against Miami. We'll be there to talk about it. Ralph will not be there, as you can see.
Nope. Ralph's
not going to be there, but I'll be there. We'll be talking with you. We might open the phone lines too, depending on that result. Sunday night.
No.
Sunday night. We'll Ralph messed me up there. Sunday night, we're going to rock and roll. We're going to talk about college football. No, we're not. That's Monday night. Monday nights and Wednesday nights, we're going to be talking college football. Classic show as always. Jonesy, you've taken the show over. That's obvious as well. But on Sunday nights, we're going to go back to that college football revamp stream. Georgia Tech against Auburn, week 1. Season number 2 of that Georgia Tech dynasty. Hope you join us on there. It's going to be a lot of fun as well. Monday and Wednesday, 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern. We're going to be talking college football, recapping and previewing Week 7, and then Georgia Tech show. You know what? I think we're going to do a film. We're going to do some film looks as next week too over on our Twitch channel. Appreciate everyone. That was a wild show earlier this week, but we'll talk with you once again. My name is Bryce Koon. Thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure to like this video, subscribe it, share it with your friends who want to have a good time watching college football. We'll see you again right here Sunday night if you're a Tech fan, or if you're not, you just want to talk about Tech Miami. It'll be a lot of fun. I'm sure it will. Very entertaining, that's for sure. We'll see you next time here on the Crowded Booth.
Pile in here and make yourself feel at home. The Crowded Booth is coming on. The Crowded Booth with